place to be. Analyze the players and the team. Keep a great company in the stream.
It's a Murali End. Welcome to the show. We're here when you're high. We're here when you're low. Some days you're happy, some days you wanna when happy. It's we when mad, it's them. It's the same place, Murali End. Sri Lanka cricket, we gon' represent. So tell a friend.
Welcome to Murali End. My name is Mark Machado. I'm joined by my cousin Dominic Machado. I am in Sri Lanka. Dominic is in the States. Sri Lanka have just lost the first T20 to Pakistan and Dambulla. It was a bit of a whimper of a performance, should we say, Dom?
Yeah, that's putting it kindly, I think, Mark. It was a poor performance. It's a little bit of what we've come to expect from Sri Lanka in these first matches of a series, but disappointing on a number of levels that I'm sure we'll get into.
Yeah, of course. If you want to join us, please do leave us your comments in the side. Of course, you've got to subscribe to the channel. Our kind of goals and aspirations are kind of on the horizon. I think our goal for the year is 10,000 subscribers. I think we're kind of 3,500. What I was hoping would happen is Sri Lanka would start the year euphorically against Pakistan, and then we get like a couple of thousand subscribers after the first game. Instead, there's done the opposite. It's not been great. It's actually quite a catastrophic loss. There's lots to discuss. We'll open up the studio for you guys as well. Dominic, should we start with the batting? Because you kind of look at Sri Lanka at this moment in time, and the kind of common consensus is if the top three don't score runs, no one's going to score runs. And that's kind of what happened today again, right?
Yeah. I cannot for the life of me remember a time when the top three didn't score runs and we won a match. I think it's basically you got to depend on Pathum, Kosal, and Kamil Mishar to score runs. Otherwise, we're not going to win. And it seems like SLC has been trying to solve this problem by adding in some stability at 4, 5, 6, or 7. And it clearly didn't work. I think what this is showing us is that Sri Lanka's selection policy, Sri Lanka's attempts to address its batting issues have not been successful. And I think it speaks to a long-term failure in identifying the kind of players who you want to play that role at 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah, let's talk about that 4, 5, 6, and 7. So DDS was back in the side after what felt like an absolute eternity in the T20 team. Chath at number 5, Lianage at number 6. It's controversial. I mean, the first comment we've got already is I understand selection policy in Sri Lankan cricket. I mean, we spend our lives trying to figure out what this selection policy is, and we can't kind of explain it to you apart from it's the idea is kind of safety first. I think that there's still a prevailing idea within SLC that you can win cricket games, you can win T20 matches by going at 8 runs and over. And we kind of got two thoughts of that. Firstly, that it's just not true anymore. You need to be looking at close to 10 runs and over. And secondly, our middle order is not an 8 runs and over middle order at this point in time. That said, like bless them, Charith and Jana have been great servants for Sri Lankan cricket, and this isn't a slur on them. They're just not going to get us going at the right pace, are they?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the big question, right? Getting to 160 isn't going to win you many cricket matches in the year 2025. And I think that's very much what they're still thinking, and it reflects a backward attitude. I'm curious how players like Pathum Nissanka, right, who we saw in the T20 league, ILT20 league, going great guns, knowing that 200 is par, if not more, what he thinks about being told 8 and over is good enough. And tweeted this. I actually thought Jonathan Lianage batted pretty well today, but before the match, Jonathan Lianage's T20 strike rate is 112, and in T20Is before this match, it was 85. That simply is not good enough. You're not going to win matches because of that. You're not going to gain anything because of that. And what we all have to hope is that somehow these last 6 matches are going to shock the SLC, shock whoever the new coach is, into realizing that the way the team is currently constructed is not going to win you, at least from a batting point of view, many games. I also think it shows up in the differential between chasing and setting. I think in setting, there's no ambition. There's no thought like, okay, let's go aggressively and see where this ends up. In chasing, if you're chasing 200 or whatever, you got to kind of aim at that. So I think that also tells you something interesting. I think we have definitely been better as a chasing side because we have a target and we can set to that target.
Yeah, and also I think chasing, bowling first, kind of plays to our strength as well, right? We're not talking about the bowling yet. I think we're still talking about the batting. I should also say, I mean, I just plucked this 8 runs and over figure from my head. I suspect actually there is no kind of figure that we are aiming at. I also think that in a way, I mean, everything we predicted that could go derail the team when the Rotar Medabad has kind of derailed the team, right?
Yeah.
Sanuda with the comments, DDS, Charith, Kamindu, and these guys are top order batters, not middle order. I actually think Kamindu's the kind of victim of SLC's tomfoolery here, because I felt like he was showing real signs that actually he could be a bit of a finisher. He could be a middle order destroyer, and he was developing his game into that. And then they just kind of decided, nah, they don't want him there anymore because he had a couple of failures, right?
Yeah, I wonder what the process is in thinking about playing someone like Jonathan Lianage at 6. And actually today, right, I said that he played well, but he kind of came in the position where you would come in at 4, right? That was where he came in because a bundle of wickets fell. He was in at about the 7th or 8th over, and that's his natural role, as Sanuda was saying, right? This is a guy who will come in, can rotate, strike against spin, has the ability to hit a little bit against spin. And I actually thought the combination of him and Wanindu against spin was kind of productive. But they've just jam-packed the lineup with batters who are poor fits for the slots. And, I thought Charith looked good in his little stay. He had a nice 6. He looked in control. But we need to see more. We need to see more substantial scores, because a team that you just say, okay, if you get through the top 3 batters, we're good. We've got a win on our hands. That's not a team that's going to go anywhere. We need more explosiveness in the middle order. We have to figure that out in some way, shape, or form. Or we need to pack the side with more bowlers, because we're only playing with 4 bowlers still. I was thinking about this. I think when people looked at the preliminary squad of 25 for the World Cup, they noted DDS and Jonathan Lianage, right, both of whom strike at under 120 in T20s, and the omission of Vishen Halumbage, who strikes at 160. And the choice to put in players who are incapable of playing that aggressive brand of cricket, or let's not say incapable, maybe they are capable, but have not shown themselves to be, right? We can ask ourselves, what has DDS done to show us that he's ready to be a middle order batter?
So that's the thing, right? Because me and you aren't privy to going to practices. We don't know what these guys are doing with other coaches that they might be working with the power hitting coaches. Kind of was, I'm optimistic, and I believe that the people who run Sri Lankan cricket might not be making all decisions, but are making good faith and are making the decisions they think will win us games. So I want to kind of say that maybe they've seen something somewhere, or the specialist hitting coaches he's been working with have got DDS to kind of find the boundary a bit more. But I look at this scorecard today, and there is 2 sixes being hit by our players. DDS isn't one of them, and you're just like, it's just not good enough, is it?
Yeah.
We're 4 weeks out for a home World Cup. We can't bat 20 overs, and we've cleared the boundary rope twice.
Yeah.
19.2 balls. We are
And
just
one of them,
behind the pace. Yeah,
was parried over. Jonathan Lianage hit it deep, and it was parried over. And I think, you see so many players who come to the crease and don't really know what their role is. They're just there to kind of bat. They're going through the motions, and that is upsetting. Role clarity, right? The least you can do is say, this is what I expect you to do. This is how many overs I want you to bat for. This is who I want you to take on. This is the kind of batting I want you to kind of play. But you don't see that. You don't see that. I will give one compliment. I think sending in Hasaranga ahead of Shanaka to face spin, I think, was a smart move. I'm glad someone noticed that. But I think we need to be more flexible and agile with our thinking. We need someone to sit down with the team and say, okay, these are the 7 players who we expect to score runs, and this is what your role is going to be, and this is when you're going to go in.
It's quite disheartening. The only thought I had was, normally we get to this point of this distance away from a World Cup, and we think that's it, we're going to win it. Wani and Angelo last time around, I thought they were going to be, Angelo's last stand and Wani as captain. I just saw the 2 of them. I thought this was going to be it. I thought they were going to tear it up in New York. It didn't quite work out for us, almost from the first ball of that tournament. Maybe this is the way that they get our hopes really low, and we think, just getting out of that first group stage, if we get a win against the Barbary Island, we'll be happy. And actually, they turn up and they're absolute 6-hitting machines. I mean, I can't say it myself, but mate, that's clearly the kind of tactic that they're going for. Dom, should we open up I'll put the link in for the studio if you want to come back. If you want to come on and have a chat with us, please do. I'll put that into the comments section.
Yeah.
Let's talk a bit about our bowling today.
Yeah.
Oh, go on.
No, yeah. I was going to say we should talk a little bit about the bowling. Obviously, not much to bowl at. It was a tough situation to come into. A couple of thoughts. So they brought back Thushara, who hadn't played in the last 4 or 5 matches. And again, I'm wondering, what was the thinking? I think maybe they wanted to bowl him in the power play, to use that to their advantage, but it didn't really pay off. He looked the most out of sorts I've seen him in a while. He was bowling well before he was removed from the lineup, and now he seems to have lost his confidence a little bit. And you saw Wani and Dasun coming over and trying to sort of console him as he was getting hit for runs early on. And I think that was a surprising thing. I would ask, what did Eshan Malinga do to get knocked out of the team? I thought he was very good in that tri-series against Pakistan. Maybe he's dealing with an injury. Maybe there's something like that. And I guess my other question is, or the one positive I take is that Mahesh Theekshana bowling in the power play looked really good. There was carnage in all the other overs, but his 3 overs in the power play went for 20 and he took a wicket. If we can get that reliably from him, that's huge. He's a difference maker. We need to support him in the squad. And I think Chamira bowled fine, Wanindu bowled fine, but ultimately there weren't enough runs.
Yeah, I think you basically kind of summed it up, right? Like you're kind of sending them out, and you know that. But early on, if one of your players goes for runs, which happened today with Thushara, that's basically the game. The game's kind of dead unless you get a magic over. I kind of thought maybe that DDS over might have been the magic over when it was dot and then a wicket. I was like, oh, another wicket here, and it gets interesting. Where's Ishan Malinga? I mean,
I don't know.
Who knows?
Our IPL bowlers are sitting on the bench. Patirana, the second highest player, bidded for player at the auction, sitting on the bench. Eshan Malinga, one of the players retained, sitting on the bench. It really defies expectation. Then now, this is to be clear, Nuwan Tushar is a capable bowler, and there is a role for him in this side. But again, what's the logic that's there? We should talk about DDS's bowling. Jania asks. His bowling was a lot more effective than his batting. I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, my kind of thoughts on this is that there's so many Sri Lankan players who can turn their arm that actually, if you're bringing in someone like him, who's the third choice spinner, depending on how you rank him compared to Chath, then they've got to do more with the bat, right? Because at this point, right, if we like, why is he in this side, right? Can he win us a World Cup playing in the team? If you don't think he can win us a World Cup, then you might as well give a spot to Murali End, because he might not be able to win us the World Cup this time, but he might be able to win us the World Cup next time. Right?
Yep.
2 years ago, Weller was in the conversation as well, and he was out the side. So we're kind of, we're setting our team up for mediocrity this time around, and we're setting them up for failure next time around, because there's a huge game in some of the young players to World Cups, right? He just has to have one good game, and he can find himself in the IPL in a few weeks' time, right?
I think this is an interesting thing with Will Olligay is I wonder why they're scared to play him. Do they really think, at least in T20 cricket, that he's that much worse of a batter than DDS or Jonathan Lianagay? To me, the answer is no. And I think he's someone who, again, could improve if you put him in the right spot. We've talked about playing him at 8 and expecting him to finish is ridiculous, but why not play him at 4 or 5?
Can I bring up a couple of comments? There's a comment from Abdul that's come in. Sri Lanka depends on Nissanka and Mendes heavily. Both of them are failing first in the Tri-Nations, and today as well. They have to take the responsibility. So I think this is part of, Abdul, thanks for interacting with us. Really appreciate it. But I think your comment is a symptom of the wider problem. That's in T20 cricket, you either score, you get out. Sri Lanka's problems are that they have players who are there just chewing up balls effectively, and we're not able to set a target. In a way, I think any score between a 120 and 160 is like the worst of anything, because you'd much rather go out. In T20 cricket, you've got to go out all guns blazing. So get out for 60 or score 220. Don't sit in the middle. At the moment, we're sitting in the middle. We are just
We are choosing to sit in the middle, which is even more absurd. It's not like we end up in the middle. We're choosing that route. But I think, if you look at Kusal Mendes, he was bumped down to 3 because they're worried about the ability of the middle order to play spin. So Patham and Kusal have so much pressure on them that if they don't get going, the innings is over. The innings is effectively over. What I'd like to see is, to your point, Mark, it feels like we're getting bowled at, right? We're just, they're bowling whatever they want, and we're not dictating anything to them. That's the problem with playing batters who are not aggressive, is that part of the T20 game is that the batters dictate the length and the line to the bowlers. Using your strategic intelligence, your cricket intelligence, you can predict and guess what bowlers are going to do, and you can force them off their line and their length. Aside from Patham and Kusal, I don't see anyone in the lineup doing that.
Do you think they need to restore Kusal to open with Patham? Dylanese said, why on earth was the opening pair broken? Patham and Kusal were doing so well, right? I kind of somewhat agree with this, right? I think there's almost no, if you went back a year ago, or maybe just over a year ago, you'd say Kussel was the kind of senior player of Kussel
Yeah.
and Patton, right? Of Pattis. It kind of feels like that's flipped a little bit, but it also feels like they had a bit of a routine. It was like Kussel will get going early and let the opposition won't think about Patton, and then suddenly, before you realise it, they're both going for it.
Yep.
But I also suspect that actually they've talked about it between them and figured out that maybe actually dropping Kussel to 3 is the way forward. I think
Yeah.
the other player that we missed today, and look, you can go back and listen to the other shows that we've done around our T20 team, is I thought Kussel Jala Pereira, like in Sri Lankan cricket, your value never rises more than when you're not playing. And today was one of those days for him.
Yeah.
Because suddenly you just feel like he's one of those guys who can score quickly. Maybe he's not as consistent as he needs to be, but he can score quick, right?
But this is exactly what we're saying, Mark, is we need match winners. And match winners do not need to fire every match. Consistency is overrated in T20 cricket. You want someone who's going to make a match-defining knock, right? In T20 cricket, you can have 2 players have good innings, and that can be enough to set your innings on fire, right? Right now, we're trying to get 5 or 6 adequate innings. That's not how you win. That is not what goes on.
I've got to bring Dennis comment up here. Bro, honestly, how much have you shit on KJP? At the very least, he tries to score quickly. I have,
exactly.
Matt. Sometimes you don't realize how good the food is at home until you go to other people's houses.
And at least 1 out of 5 matches, he'll score something. He'll give you something. Honestly, Mark, what is the last substantial score we got from a middle order bat? I'm really racking my brain to remember.
Because someone put it in the comments a lot.
Yeah, maybe Kamindu had a couple
scored.
I think Kamindu might be the
last one. Yeah, man. I feel like people know I'm a massive big Kamindu fan, but really I'm a fan of every Sri Lankan player. Right? I think he's the one who's had it from all the droppings, the chopping and change of the side. I think he's the one that's had it the hardest, because I felt like he was being asked to do something that wasn't really in his skill set, and you could see his skill set growing into that, and they just dropped him at the wrong moment. But that's SLC, right? That's what happens with this current setup.
What it is, Mark? This is a good metaphor. Those sushi roundabouts where you can that's kind of what the middle order is like. All the middle order batters are on the sushi conveyor belt, and they're just picking and pulling random guys, hoping that one of them will be good. And there's no consistency. There's no game plan. I think that's also part of the problem. Stick with the guys you have and tell them what to do, right? Even if they are a little bit of a round, square peg for a round hole, give them a goal. Say, okay, this is how you're going to approach it. This is how you're going to do it. So at least if you're playing Kamindu as a finisher, which I think is playing him out of position, you are telling him this is how you should approach the game. This is how you should attack the game. And that I can at least live with.
Yeah, absolutely. One other point I was going to make with the bowling, right, is I kind of feel like we've played Pakistan a lot recently. Wow. This stat from Sanuda is quite worrying. Only 1 win since 24 without Mendes or Patton scoring a 20 plus. Yeah, sorry, I was talking about the bowling. Yeah. I don't know what you felt about this, but we've played Pakistan a lot recently after not playing them for quite a long period of time. And I kind of was expecting, and I don't really blame the bowlers here because they had nothing to bowl at all. And as I said, if you have 1 or 2 bad overs early on, this game, when you've got to defend 128 or whatever it was we were defending, it is over. And that's kind of what happened today. But I did think, we've seen all these Pakistani batters so many times.
Yeah.
Surely we should have had better plans to bowl against them. Or am I being harsh?
No, especially the openers. I thought there was, what was the plan to bowl to those openers? We know they like to play these shots. We know they like to play down the ground. They like to be aggressive. We know they like to flick. Like, it shouldn't be surprising. It seems like time and again, we go into these matches and just expect a result to turn up. There's no planning. And I'm curious about this, Mark, and I'm thinking, when you pick a coach for the side, I think sometimes having a coach that was a brilliant player can be difficult because, and we talked a little bit about this with Russell Arnold, right? It can be that they think the game is simple. See ball, hit ball. It's obvious, right? Whereas, someone like an Arjuna needed to strategize. He obviously was a talented cricketer, but thought about what is the strategy? How am I going to win this game? Right. So part of me wonders if that's partially lacking continuously, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Loads of great comments coming in. Oh, in the comment section, guys, can you tell me who you dropping for this 11 and who you bringing in for the next game? The next game's tomorrow, I think.
This is your chance to, maybe SLC is listening.
Yeah, maybe someone's watching behind the scenes. You never know. So I think with our setup as it is, I think we are so behind what everyone else is doing in terms of, right, are we selecting modern players who can play modern T20 cricket? I'm not sure we're doing that. I think we're still selecting players who we think are the best cricketers, whatever that means,
Whatever that
from
may
our
mean,
kind of professional, from a professional setup, which basically is we're selecting players that we think look good at this point, right? We're selecting our best looking players. Are our bowlers turning up with bowling plans against every opposition batter? Do they know where to bowl, what areas to bowl, how to get them out, what to do when they're in certain positions? Again, it's difficult to say that we're doing that to any sort of level that the teams we're playing are doing it against us, right? Because you see, if you look at how often we see someone like Wani get out with the same ball, or so, even Kusal Mendes, he doesn't face spin because people know he's strong with spin.
Yeah.
The matchups for the players, for our batters, are always right. Again, are our batters been set up to score runs? So are they coming in knowing who to hit, where to hit, when to hit, how to hit?
Yeah.
Right. Again, I don't think that's true. What this boils down to is there anything beyond in our coaches setup, beyond just actually being a coach? Are they actually trying to improve the players? Are they looking for the ways to win games? Dylan's written, I think we still have to answer this fundamental question. What's our T20 strategy?
I think that's 100% correct, which is unbelievable given the amount of T20 cricket we have played. That is absolutely ridiculous, right?
I think the idea was if we just keep playing, we'll win. Like eventually, it will just become good. Because I think that might have worked for previous generations of players. Yes. If you go back and look at 2014, our greatest T20 moment, winning the World Cup. That's kind of true. That's kind of how it's worked. But there's people within the Sri Lanka side who are really at the forefront of T20 cricket at that point. So there's Mahela, there's Malinga, there's Kumar, who are kind of playing all around the world with all the biggest teams and are at the forefront of creating T20 strategy. You ask yourself, like, seriously, is Kumar Sangakkara in 2014, is he a modern T20 player? Would he walk into Rajasthan Royals today? And that's not a slur on him, because he would bat,
right?
Yeah. He'd bat totally differently now, right? So I think Sri Lanka is at its best in cricket when it's innovating, and it almost has stopped innovating.
Maybe they are innovating. You bring in a bunch of guys who can strike at 110, 120, and you surprise your opposition by that they're just shocked that you field such a team that they just disintegrate. So some comments on who should come in. So J2792 says, bring in Kamindu and drop DDS, drop Lianage and bring in Walalage, and then bring in Eshan Malinga for Nuwan Tushara. I actually think, I think I had talked about my preferred 11, and that's kind of what it looked like. I think Kamindu batting at that 4 position is not a bad place for him. I like Walalage in the middle order. I think he has a role to play there and definitely can contribute with the ball. Eshan Malinga, I'm a huge fan of. And then we have Dineth saying, I'll drop DDS and bring in Kamindu. I drop Tushara and bring in Patirana. I might even drop Jonathan and bring in KJP purely for strike rate. So just to clarify things, I heard that KJP got hit on the hand in practice and they held him out of this game to he was going to bat at number 4 because of that. So we'll see if that holds true, if DDS makes way for him. But that's certainly something.
The Wit has written, I think even the Australian T20 squad would still lose games if they're playing the SLC plans. I think that's true. I also think they'd play like it. They'd have Marnus playing T20 cricket.
Yeah.
That's what
batting
SLC
at 7,
would be,
Marnus
right?
at 7.
Marnus at 7 to finish the innings, right? Just a total. Yeah, I think this is it, isn't it? SLC T20 strategy equals let Mendelson pat and bat and hope for the best. Look, championships have been won at this from teams being as bad as we are from this point out, right? I'm a Liverpool Football Club fan, and I saw Liverpool win the Champions League in 2005 with players who I still can't believe were actually professional footballers. If you were there, you'll know who I'm talking about. It is not too late for Sri Lanka cricket to turn this around. The real frustrating thing is that there are players there who can do it. We know we have got the players who can do it.
And we've seen them do it. It's not like that they can or,
Yeah, if you look back at what we've been doing on Murali End for kind of 6, 7, 8, 9 months now, we know as well from talking to the people within the system that there is the brains and the ability in there to win it as well. So we just got to get it right. And it can't just be reliant on 2 batters coming into form and not coming into form. I don't know what nonsense Sanu just talk about Man United, man. Like, we can do this. Sri Lanka can do this. They can turn it around. It's in our gift to do it. I know it's in our gift to do it.
And that's the funny thing. If Kusal and Potham get going and our bowling has clicks, we can go quite far in this tournament. But somehow, and this is where, to me, blame falls on the head coach and the management, squad management. The team is playing less than the sum of its parts.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Dineth said, what's very interesting, I don't think I can name a single T20 specialist batsman for Sri Lanka, whereas all the other teams have 7 shots batsmen, and these specialists dominate the rankings.
Hey,
that's true.
There's one guy in the wing. Vishen is the guy waiting in the wings. Who is that right now?
The thing is, though, right, Dom, I want this kid to come in and succeed. I really do. However, the idea that he comes in and he is the silver bullet is in a way feeding into the SLC's current strategy, which is that basically we don't have the right players. Like remix it up. Whichever 11 players you pick, it's not going to get us championships. It's not going to win us major tournaments. That is the problem, because the strategy is it's going to be too easy for opposition to beat us down, to figure out how to compete with us. So again, but by kind of almost by slipping ourselves into this idea that we've got the wrong 11, it's the wrong players. You are going with you are validating SLC's plan. There is no other professional sports team in the world that is probably as underprepared to turn up at a World Cup as Sri Lanka has. We are just pure vibes and talent. That is what it feels like compared to everyone else. I know there's a little bit more there, but I think the gap between what everyone else is doing and what we're doing, I think, is huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
we can ask this too. What about the counterintuitiveness? The one thing that worked for us, as Sanuda points out, was this opening partnership. Right. And look, there is a cricketing rationale behind it, right? It's that Mendes plays spin well. He's one of the few that can control spin in the middle. Yes, but those starts we got were huge. Huge. And then if you combine that with the right type of players after them, then you've got a T20 side. Right? Guys who can take advantage of the opportunities that are set up by the opening partnership. So I don't know. It's, as many people have said today, I'm down about this.
With Dan, in a way, I think this is the most Dan we've ever been on Murali End, isn't it?
Maybe after we got 50 all out against India, I think was pretty bad. That was pretty bad. The loss to Zimbabwe, where we were all out for 80, that was pretty rough.
No one even wants to come in and talk to us today, man. That's fine. We're going to be back tomorrow, right? The next game's tomorrow, isn't it?
The 9th, 2 days. So we get 2 days. We get 1 day to flush it. Okay.
Yeah.
In true Sri Lankan style, we get 1 day to flush it. Come back. And look, part of why this is frustrating, I want to end on a hopeful note. Part of the reason why it's frustrating is because the talent is there. Because this is a team that can be very good. It wouldn't be frustrating if this was the 2017, 2018 versions. There'd be nothing to be frustrated about because there aren't players. But they are here, they're there, and I'm cheering that they do it despite the restraints that are being put on them.
Let's go Sri Lanka. Come on, there's nothing to lose now, is there?
Yep.
We've been the Murali End. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the follow, join our WhatsApp channel as well. There's a link in the description for that. We're an ever-growing community. We've got a big role to play in the next few weeks. Sri Lanka are at a World Cup and we're the hosts. We're going to put our best foot forward and show the world that we are not just produce great cricketers, but we're great fans as well. I don't even know what that means anymore. Right, I'll see you all in a couple of days. See you all later. Bye.
It's the Murali End, you're in the place to be. Analyze the players and the team. Keep a great company in the stream.
It's a Murali End. Welcome to the show. We're here when you're high. We're here when you're low. Some days you're happy, some days you wanna when happy it's we, when mad it's them. It's the same place, Murali End. Sri Lanka cricket we gon' represent. So tell a friend.